Okay, the next question is, what are some tips you would give to people out there that are trying to memorize the Quran?
So I have to clarify. Are you talking how much memorization are we talking? Are we talking about enough to recite in Salah, or like
They're
trying
trying
to
to
finish?
memorize the whole Quran.
Okay, those are completely two different types.
Okay, go ahead.
So as we were memorizing, our teachers used to tell us of like students. Unfortunately, they stopped at 20 juz, 24 juz, 29 juz, could not finish. So not everyone can finish, and just do the best you can, inshallah. Uh, I would say maybe three or four things that are really important. First is making dua. So none of us Hufaz can finish the Quran. It's only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that decided to grant us this blessing. And even I remember like for like the couple of months after I finished Quran, though it normally happens at least in our culture, or at least our masjid, was like everyone's like saying congrats or something for finishing his. But every time subhanallah, I was just like yeah, there's no way I could have done it without Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And not in sort of a missing manner either, but like I genuinely believe I could have never finished. Actually, interesting story is my dad at one point. This has got to be like sixth or seventh grade. He didn't tell me until I finished, but at one point he gave up on me being a hafiz, like completely. So I didn't find out about this until after I finished my hifz, but like he didn't believe in me. I didn't believe in myself, and
What made you believe in yourself again?
nothing. So actually, one of the reasons I finished, I believe I finished, is couple months before I graduated or before I finished my Quran, I went for Umrah. That's so the first time you see the Kaaba, you make du'as. I believe my first or second one, I made like all my future du'as get accepted.
Cheat code.
And then the rest of the Umrah, I was just in Mecca, in Medina, in the Haram, around the masjid, or like in Riyadh, it's not Riyadh al Jannah, but Riyadh bin Riyadh al Jannah. And I was just making dua to like finish the Quran, Rabbi Zidni, and all those duas. So after that, subhanAllah, my speed completely changed. So from 5th grade until this time, this was 8th grade fall semester, I had only finished 20 juz. 4 juz, or 4 years almost, 20 juz. Then in the next 4 months, I did 10 juz. So yeah, subhanAllah, yeah, as I was saying, I didn't believe in myself, but I think making dua was the biggest factor in that. The second biggest factor was being completely locked in. So you would be surprised at how much having a phone makes a difference, but I didn't have access to any phone or any consoles or anything. It sounds like a broken record, but you don't realize the amount of time that you waste. Even I think today, like, I mean, it's sad to say, but like I wasted probably like 7 hours just like on my phone. So just wasting time away. To give another perspective, 6-7 hours, you could have memorized maybe 3 pages and revised like 4 or 5 juz. So it's us wasting our time. We lose a lot of the barakah in it. So it's one thing I have to work on again. But that was the second thing. So first thing, making a lot of dua. Impossible to do anything without dua. And this is something that's not just applicable to his, applicable to anything. Never feel proud of yourself. He who has a mustard seed of arrogance won't enter Jannah. So don't ever feel proud of yourself. It's all from Allah. Alhamdulillah, He granted it to you, but always feel thankful for it. So so that was the first, making dua. Second is time management. Yes. So that was the second one. You just have to focus on your time. Incredibly valuable. Third is company you surround yourself with. So you have to be with people constantly encouraging you to memorize, or at the very least being in an environment where people are not distracting you from memorizing. So what I mean by this is, like, for example, you need to be, or like, you cannot be having people calling you out every night to like go out and eat when that's normally your time to study Quran. So uh, sometimes people feel a little bad when they reject friends, and yeah, that's good. And I'm not saying you shouldn't, but you need to find friends that are also encouraging towards your goals. If this is a goal that you have, like a legitimate goal, then you need to be able to have people encouraging you towards it, or people also working towards it. A lot of my closest friends, even to this day, are from when I was doing hifz. Like we used to like, you could not say compete, but compare ourselves against each other. Like, oh, I finished before you. Oh, today I read more than you. Oh, I finished a juz faster than you did, or I did my test before you. Sort of like that, like friendly competition. But it really keeps you on your toes. If it's just you by yourself, it's very easy to get demotivated. So I think that would be it.
Okay.
That's all that's coming to mind right now.
And final question: how have you maintained still memorizing the whole Quran since you finished it in 8th grade? It's been 6 years.
Yeah, something like that.
So within those 6 years, how have you also made sure that you've still memorized the Quran?
This, I feel, is a multi-part question, and it differs person to person. I'll give my own experience as I've been asked, but yeah, we can go into that experiences later if I remember. So, so the first part is getting into a routine. So for the first year or two after I finished, or right after COVID, so I guess maybe that would become 2-3 years, I was reciting to a sheikh. Now, I wasn't reciting as much as I needed to, so I used to recite one juz to my sheikh and do 2 at home, or do 3 at home. But the idea was that working with the sheikh, I can sort of get into the diligence of the time, that I have an allocated time, someone's expecting me to be there, someone is ready for me to listen, I need to be ready. So that was sort of it. It was establishing a habit. So that is the first step that you need to do. You need to have a habit of revising. The second step is that unfortunately the people around us cannot always be around us. So as you go through life, you'll be in one place this year, somewhere else the other year, here for a month, there for 2 months. If you were not to revise Quran in the middle of this, like for example, if you're on campus for 4 months, but your sheikh is back at home, or your sheikh is on campus and back at home, like 3 months, you're just like sitting over there, you're gonna forget your Quran. As I mentioned before, 10-day cycles. At the very, very, very minimum, a month. And if you're a Hafiz, you might be able to get away with doing it every Ramadan, but as you're memorizing, no. If you leave it for longer than 10 days, you're going to start forgetting it. Then you're going to spend more time trying to remember what you forgot than memorizing new stuff. So that was it. So yes, let me reiterate. First step is to get into a habit. Second step, repeat every 10 days. That was mostly it. Then for a Hafiz, it's really important to revise the Quran with someone listening. So that's where the Taraweeh comes in generally for most of us. Would definitely recommend, even if you're not a Hafiz, to recite what you know during the month of Ramadan so that people behind you can hear. It's completely different, and you're gonna get mistakes, but that's the only way that you're gonna actually be able to revise it properly.
Okay.
That's mostly, yeah. 10-day cycles, the most important thing. So I can mention this now. I think we're nearing the end of the interview, but during my Quran, the reason it took me like 4 or 5 years is I restarted every like year. So after fifth grade, I restarted in sixth grade. Sixth grade, I restarted in seventh grade. Seventh grade spring, I restarted again. So all of this was because I kept forgetting. I was doing cycles longer than a month, even going to like 2 months at a time. And with that, you just completely forget. Or like for example, between fifth grade and sixth grade, we moved states. So we moved in June, or I believe it was June, to Texas. And for the next couple months, I did not have a teacher. Like it was a month or two before the semester started. 2 months, I forgot everything I memorized the past year. So I was restarting everything again. And the same thing happened again between, I believe, sixth grade and seventh grade. There was like 2-3 months of summer break, completely forgot it. And that was just how it was. And then it's common, it's not something that just happens to me. When our teacher switched in our madrasa, so our old teacher, he went for one of the neighboring masajid, and then we had our teacher come in from one of the other neighboring masajid. So when he came, he started everyone on a revision cycle. So everyone had to recite everything they memorized within like a week or two. Otherwise, he's gonna make us re-memorize.
To wrap it up, what advice do you have there for the people listening to this?
Advice. My biggest advice would be forgetting is something completely that needs to be avoided. The barakah that you get from memorizing the Quran, you lose it and get negative from sort of forgetting the Quran. Like now you're leaving the word of God. Like you're forgetting it. Like it's as if you can make like an analogy. Like you're maybe getting like a shipment or something. Someone gave you a gift, and then you completely toss it aside. Now, this is like an analogy that we can understand, but do not expect like barakah from forgetting the Quran. Like my point is, memorize what you can, but never forget what you already learned. That's my biggest one.
Okay, thank you very much, brother. Okay. Thank you, brother Saad, for answering those questions. I hope those of you guys that are still watching, I hope y'all watched the whole video. I hope you learned something. I hope you can implement it in our lives, because once again, this is how we keep the Quran preserved. The Quran was revealed, as we all know, over 1400 years ago. Through people like brother Saad here memorizing the Quran and keeping it is how we keep the book preserved. Otherwise, it'll be forgotten by now. So inshallah, let's all make the intention to do our best to memorize the Quran as much as we can and implement it in our daily lives. Thank you very much. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.